Bonjour classe, bienvenue à la classe de français 2, Rappel 1. Let's begin our review of numbers. Okay class, this week we are still focusing on some review from last year in French 1. How much of this stuff do you remember? Hopefully it starts to come back to you so you can shake off all the cobwebs and be ready to progress in French 2. But let's start with numbers. Count with me, s'il vous plaît. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I'm going to pause there for just a moment. Is stomach starting to come back to you? A couple of tricks to help you remember these numbers. First of all, the number 1 is just the number 1. It almost sounds like you're getting hit in the stomach a little bit, right? When you say just like this. The number 2, deux. Number 3, trois. Good opportunity to practice your French R. Trois. Number 4, quatre, which kind of sounds like meow. It's a cat. Number 5, cinq. Number 6 is spelled just like it is in English, but it's pronounced six. Number 7, sept. Number 8, huit. And number 9, neuf. And you will notice as we go along that a lot of these basic numbers get repeated over and over again, the higher the numbers get, because just like in English, French numbers are a combination of other numbers. Oh, and let's not forget about number 10 over here. Notice how it's spelled the same as six. So how do you think it's pronounced? Dix. Très bien. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Basic 5. I've got a story to tell you. There was a cat named 1, 2, 3 cat, and then there was a French cat named 1, 2, 3. And both of the cats had a race across the river. Which cat won the race? 1, 2, 3 cat, of course, because 1, 2, 3 cat sank. These are the jokes. That's all I got. All right. Work on these because later you'll see repetition with these first few numbers. Also, I want you to notice some patterns. Un, when it's 11, is 11, which isn't exactly un, but you can see un and onze have a little bit of similarity there. Deux, when it's 12, douze. Trois, 13 has the number 3 in it, almost. Treize, with that TR. And 14 definitely has the number 4 in it because it's quatorze. Okay? 15, quinze doesn't look too much like cinq, but it does have that good IN nasal sound. Cinq, quinze. 16 is seize, which isn't 100% six, but it's close. Can you start to see the pattern? And then 17 is 17. So now you're just taking the number 10 and adding it to 7, doing a little bit of math. 18 is 18. Guess what 19 is? 19. You remember. And then finally we get to 20, which is 20. And do you remember how the numbers build on each other from here on out? Listen carefully. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Voila. Of course, there are many more numbers, but they continue along similar patterns. So now we get into the 30s. 30 is 30. TR, just like trois, just like treize. There's a pattern. 31, 32, 33. That's a really good one to practice your French R. 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. And so on and so forth. The number for 60 is 60. The number for 70 does its own little thing. It takes the number for 60, 60, which kind of looks like 6, and then they have to start doing math again. 70, they make you add 10. So then this one is 71, 72, 73. See how they add those together? When you get to 80, it's 80, 4 times 20. And when you get to 90, it's 90, 4 times 20 plus 10. Craziness. Finally, we end with cent, which is an easy one to remember because we use this word in English. A cent is 1/100th of a dollar. A century is 100 years. That's just the word for 100, cent. Practice these numbers, and I think you saw on the first slide that they can be found on page R2 in the back of your book. Your book has a really good appendix with a lot of review, and that's where we're going to be referencing this week as we do Rappel on. So page R2 in the back of your book to practice your numbers. These numbers are so important because we're going to review the days, the dates, how to tell time, and for all these things you need numbers. So let's take a look at the date en français. What are some things we celebrate? Le 25 décembre, le 1er janvier, le 14 février, le 17 mars, le 4 avril, le 1er mai, le 8 juin, le 14 juillet. All of these dates are significant holidays, maybe for us or maybe for French people. For example, le 14 juillet is their jour d'indépendance. It's their national fête, la fête nationale. We celebrate the 4th of July because of the Declaration of Independence. They celebrate the 14th of July because of the burning of the Bastille. Talk more about that in class. But notice how the date is written in French. They all start with le. No naked nouns in this language. Le. And then the number comes next. For example, le 8, le 14, le 17, and finally, the month. Le 17 mars, St. Patrick's Day. Le 14 février, Valentine's Day. Le 1er janvier, remember 1er is first. That's the new year, bonne année. They basically go from the smallest increment of time to the largest. So they start with the day and then the month, the opposite of how we do it in English. So where we would say January 1st, they say the 1st of January, okay? Keep that in mind, that order of saying the date is very important. Now, along with the date, you're gonna wanna know the days of the week. So here's a little song to help you remember. It's call and response. So listen to me and then sing after me. I trust that you're all singing along with this video. Lundi, mardi, mercredi, jeudi, vendredi, samedi, dimanche, dimanche, les jours de la semaine, the days of the week. All right. Lundi, mardi, mercredi, jeudi, vendredi, samedi, dimanche, dimanche, les jours de la semaine. Remember those, commit those to memory. Those are also in your textbook, also on page R2. Look it up. In addition to that, we have the months of the year. Good news about these is they are mostly cognates. They look a lot like the words in English. Janvier, février, mars, avril, mai, juin, juillet, août, septembre, octobre, novembre, décembre. The first few months, well, actually December and then over to January, February, is the winter time. And en français, l'hiver. because you shiver in the winter. The next group, sometimes in Michigan it takes its time getting here, but here we have spring. Le printemps. If you look at it closely, you put an S right here, it almost looks like springtime, doesn't it? Le printemps. Then my personal favorite, when it's nice and warm and sunny, and we get some time to relax, l'été, summer. And finally, sometimes we say fall, but we also say autumn, and that's what the word is in French, l'automne. Now class, talking about the day and the date, another good use of numbers is telling time. Do you remember how to tell time en français? I'm just going to move my screen to the middle of the clock here. I'm right here in the middle with you guys. The question is, quelle heure est-il? What time is it? Instead of saying the word time, they say the word hour. What hour is it? And so to answer, insert any number. What time is it? Il est 1 heure. Il est 2 heures. Il est 3 heures. Il est 4 heures. Il est 5 heures. See how those numbers are coming in handy? A couple other things you want to know about telling time in French. Where in English we might say it is 1:15 or quarter after, in French they say il est 1 heure et quart. Quarter after, 15 minutes after. If you divide the clock into 4 pieces of the pie, that's where that quarter after comes from. Il est 1 heure et quart. If it's half past 1:30 or half past 1, they say il est 1 heure et demi. Demi means half. If it's 1:45, now they say it a little bit differently. They say it's 2 o'clock minus the quarter. That's because it's getting closer to 2 o'clock. The French are optimistes. They know we're going to make it to 2 o'clock, so we might as well start talking about it now. Il est 2 heures moins le quart. Minus the quarter. There's only a quarter left to go. Okay? Et finalement, il est 2 heures. Those are the basics of telling time. We'll talk more about it in class, but now you've got a good grasp on it. Class, there's a lot to review this week, and so one more thing I want us to take a look at is the weather. If we're talking about the months, if we're talking about the seasons, we should probably talk about the weather. Quel temps fait-il? Here we see the word temps, which really means weather, okay? Class, il fait froid. Il fait froid. Il fait chaud. It is so hot in here. Get it? Il fait beau. Il fait bon. Il fait mauvais. Il fait du vent. Looks like the word vent. Il fait du vent. Il fait frais. Il fait frais. Il neige. Il pleut. Voilà. Hopefully these are coming back to you, but they can be found in your textbook on page R3. Also, telling time is in your textbook on page R3. So, take some quality time now to yourself with your textbook. Go back to the appendix, page R2, page R3. Let's get some good review done this week so we can continue to move forward. How much do you remember from French 1 last year? And if it's not a lot, now you have a chance to practice and be prepared. Class, that's it. I'll see you the next time we meet. À bientôt et au revoir.